Right, I'm all about and that's one I pay Jumezu. Busunda is I see in there, Busona out to do or do a being me today. It's okay to abandon out to do or you do a being and that's why you're too full. All I never have about Tanasi, why you're kissing for you. Is our older pass, Surunko or belated one is the Maya offering hina, we are the final hina, Ghana hina, 50 months of hina. Then about an oya about and a pa, Utum no celebrate I honor. Nazamba, when you mean that over about and motion home, madam, wash your honor over Madden if you to know, send home message. It's a bit of the Marco enjoy do nice. I would have part belated, and now the actual Mumpa on Sa is our chief executive officer. I am Mrs. Yome, in a bush of Yamahon, or belated Mother's Day. The mountain or your professor bound for a J, or a prof. Wakafu Yanmame, a man or your belated Mother's Day. Sir or Tumfu Allah, Don Mamas and if you untum no umbrown Yahusa, I won't be around one sir and two no unca. Send on the person about Batinas. Now, it's them compared to me, you know, more than Abdallah, Namaje, Gua, Marba, Nephi, Mababuam, and Baby, maybe and that's why you're too far lepe, may Ababatanasi, Butumna is a abra honum. Then Zaya Baba come Assam year or ye wetland. Asasa nudu afro another in Swado, Nephi, ya share was the ecosystem. A corner ever for that year to me, Yarisen ye, another year to me, Yakuni, me to Minabwa. So ye Baba can Asasa in Swada, quite able to me after that, ye to me, Yarisen ye, and then Yaba Abatanasi was the wetland and ecosystem. And ye Baba come home Assam. See, ye die with my baby. Yeba, a penny pie in Saka or your senior environmental lab technologist. I push the appointment and someone who don't know about them. Then I remember, Yeba, I bet is in the state to me that they are going. Right, yes, I am a beam. Tell you think everybody say that's a crown, no, and it's like our help in the power. And this is an Emmanuel Aku Kekeli. Yeah. So Aku Emmanuel Kekeli. Yo, I know about cancer or I am. If you are in the Department of Civic Engineering, or your CCTU, or your Civil Engineering, or your CCTU, or if you are Anababwa, Madam Mbabe, Etumna Akolo. You know, good morning.
Good morning.
Upon music.
Yo,
Avocado, Eton Kaja. And I quite for her bus home match if you
oh. This year, I got a surprise in the door.
Obey.
Yeah.
Obey. You are in the issue, yeah. And as I say, for a while, of the British Bruno, Ibuan in Suna, no one that my order say, can't wetland. You man, I haven't.
Okay, medical share, telephobia and sana, proceed. Jacques Yankoma, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of the Republic of Ghana. Then to Honorable Dr. Kwame Tanyako, Honorary MP. Then EPA boss for Central Region, Omahinike Boaten. Then Miankasa MVC, Professor Kwekweduchum Eyim Boache. Then to the entire Coastal University, then the civil engineering department, and also the environmental management technology department. Into yeka wetland kwakwa say obade ebori ase no ohyeda specific places bi o ho a ho no ebibia no nsu ebeta ho for a period of time in the year, and I said for some places no nsu beta ho for the whole period of the year. Now those places no your specific kind of a more and as a plant a water particular place. It's a wetland and it's in the one that is a baby ensure a tie. Yeah.
You're saying you share ecosystem. So ecosystem or everything.
Okay. You can ecosystem. I got to say because a dynamic system. I got to say interaction between living things and the environment. Now, if I say be a particular place and as a particular location, near share and near my more that particular place, and I say no money near my any one. I said the non-living aspect of the environment and how they exist. Into overhead ecosystem, your I thought about a friend of biotic. Now, biotic, no, focus on living ones, no. Now, living ones, no, you are more producers. Bernica says from autotrophs. There's almost a more year Adriani or ecosystem. No, here are plants, and I say in Indiana, no buying almost more producers and any or consumers. There's a more by Adrian and any more mobility. The consumers and any we form part of the consumers. The consumers, no, we can have heterotrophs. Then, if as a consumer, I'm on heterotrophs, no. Then we have the composers. Now, Nini nature, no. Say I didn't so what. I'm on mobile and Yaman never pro. Send a bear, Bibia Bessa reset it, and I said Bibia Bessa go back to the normal state, no. I'm on decomposers, no. And they call the non-living aspects, and so I'm on any abiotic, no. Into a ecosystem, the ane casafa, and near more nkwa, and in Yama omuni nkwane, a shesania, or more nkwane, or more money nkwano, how they interact with each other. That is what forms the ecosystem.
You know, you have some history, say if a wetland, you were baby friend marshes, you were all your mangroves, and there were swamps.
Okay.
Into the men's in sentiment, you were your wetland.
I think that say if a wetland now, considering how they look like, I got to say ensure and ababeta baby. Into for those ones we have categories. Okay, your marshes or mangroves and so now all these things you realize based on where they are found, none might this kind of differences from into wetlands. So both be inland. Say be a community, monobone, say baby or so at any land by or as a outskirts beside the boy as a poor no cry no best any baby or higher wetlands no ewo. Into all these ones and they fall under wetlands. Say in shooting at Hong Kong they become wetland.
So soon Baba Taho Cotinga and I'm not or your wetland. Say your wetland Otumo providing for Subi. For Subi another or Taho order you to me say.
Yeah. Wetland I can once say in fact. You find say obo ade bo ni wiase no. Ade ba ko ode to ho a ebo ama efin a ebeba environment no. Enu ankasa betime yi efin na free ho. There is a natural remediation. Emu key one back up on wetland ecosystem. In Pempe and Kofodrin say be a honor assassin or the year na it becomes like a waste of space and it will be needed say be engineers a fairly honor yet may sit down on no, that is not the case. Yeah, the first function of the wetland ecosystem is that they serve as natural filters. Say in Sutwa na nsuo be gu asase no so na se kokolete or wetland hona if in be e won nsuo no ni na no these wetlands na eyede e sunny sa nsuo no so ansa na nsuo na go down into the water table ye free some species within the earth e free ho aquifer hona ya na nsuo no e ko gina e wa asase nti na otu abula ya otuminya nsuo ɛwɔ fam no. Now that is the first rule. In the wetland ecosystem, you best serve as natural filters. The filtering no, in Pimpi no, once nsuo atɔ no, na nsuo na wakɔta on, you have other elements and as a nutrients na ɛwɔ nsuo no. But because of wetland, nsuo no ni flow no ɛte so. Nti ɛhɔ na ebeduru wɔn na nsuo ni flow na yɛ slow nti no. Ɛbɛma those phosphorus ni nitrogen ne saa ne manema it will filter down to the sediments before it will flow to where it has to go to. Nti ebe as na nutrients no so ate. The second part is flood control. Share flood in the area possible may move under normal circumstances and can yes say nkrofo exists in dioma encroaching on places that are supposed to be wetlands and we wouldn't be having these issues in the sense that normally since you don't born on the it flows to those kind of places. I honor ebe sinking kakra akwasa sinem. Na yes ana I say I collection point and you know eba be jina nintino. Emma you know embu fasona akwakoma issues with for instance flood and esa man into wetland ecosystem no omo dwumedie ba konso no nti be a wetland wo bia o mayi afri ho bia impempi nsuo no to a feel it has to move to a different place. Nti those places because they don't have the kind of geological makeup soil on here so porous enough a betima filter nsuo nti no edru ho na nsuo no ho no etimi ensinke nkoda na ebu afasona a flood nkrofo efie. The next one here, biodiversity hub. Now, biodiversity, it just describes how diverse we have biological interactions could be. Your moebi and I say your plants do more. They are migratory. If I say they only come to a particular place at a particular time in the year. And one mostly they depend on a specific kind of environment and then a moment at travel. Your plants in the society, so your plants be yearly or year round, they have to be in water environment. Say these wetland ecosystems now, or this kind of organisms that make once you realize that they will become endangered or will be free this kind of environment. Then the next one is carbon storage. Carbon storage, it talks about how wetland it store excess carbon na carbon release environment na wetland also provide livelihood and resources in terms of fishing. Your places wetland the year fishing there are a lot of things in the tourist attraction and all those things. The wetland ecosystem there and can one for super into carbon storage there. As we continue, I will throw more light about it because they're a very, very important thing to look at.
Right. Oh, yeah, Papa. The mina oya ima otumoreka. Aha, ima ni zene zana muhano. Okay, I am a classmate of Fanakula. Into. You share them. You could pay if you wetland. We have our ecosystem. No, we have about you. You share. I mean, I will get this Ghana. I am Sutumuto of flood. I'm to baby, bear 2 months, 3 months, and soon the hotel. Just a best several 5 to 6 months and son and soon. You put your friend maybe and also wetland.
In Pimpi, wetland, Nipa, if I say anthropogenic activities into to make creative wetland. Okay. But natural ones, the way I am it, and then I say it is easy for it to filter off. But it is also a characteristic of wetlands. Say insuber even for a whole year, yearly, then insuber every totally. But you make a much say, the here say, baby, a wetland will be an any say a day and second say, yeah, construction works be or and I say, be a desire. The natural ones, let us leave them as they are. You might be also good in Omoye. And yes, I say, creative diversions ensure due to our activities near construction because that one it has been artificially created, it might not be able to mimic the role of the natural or the wetland ecosystem. Your ecosystem
Yeah, maybe we say air and water purification, soil for information, climate regulations, and food production, as well as the habitat and biodiversity. That means why the or ecosystem.
Yeah, on say ecosystem no. Yes, for an ecosystem to be, maybe say viable, and I say a good environment for the organisms to have a good interactions. No, right. Interaction. I was say a near my war environment impose threats to the other. Ni say be a bako edumedi na the other one no are affected. Na ye share your wetland ecosystem na. Because of the plants now, are able producing this and they are also able to help with the filtration and as a purification of the air. Yeah, sure. In Pempino, and plants they make use of carbon dioxide, and any parts you make use of oxygen. Into they convert the carbon dioxide to produce simple sugars for themselves. Different carbohydrates and as a glucose. Then, by doing that, they release oxygen as a byproduct. So, oxygen as a byproduct, and then you depend on. It's trying to tell us that if we have instances where the plants are mania, we will be able, for that particular environment, we will have a lot of oxygen in the environment. Very favorable for you, and you depend on oxygen. Now, secondly, we will say Oka climate control. Yeah. Now, say there may be a cost about a global concern. I am Kokoka once a global warming, And I thought a binumunti, I say, I global warming now. You were some kind of gases be or higher from greenhouse gases. Now, some greenhouse gases, a move back on a carbon dioxide. Because a gas near greenhouse, normally, say, we are not a release or ultraviolet radiation is a ember assassination, the heat assassin upper. It was said a bizarre reflector back. But if you have the instances where you have a lot of these greenhouse gases in your atmosphere, what they do is that mobile trap heat from reflecting back into the atmosphere and going back into air. You trap, or the earth tends to trap the excess heat around. So when the heat is trapped across the globe now, the globe gets warmed up. It is like the atmosphere becomes warmed up. And we call it global warming. See, my heat now around now I increase into and I say, yes, I say Riano Crana, I know I did bushfires in my name maybe a cocoa or some other countries now they are doing global warming contributed to it. Now wetland ecosystem didn't here can once say a bois in climate control and say if it be carbon sequestration. I talking about how and near maybe our environment it me a filter of and I say a retaining carbon. My carbon not releasing into the atmosphere. Because this kind of global warming. You see, wetland ecosystem means they are able to trap a lot of organic substances, air and carbon, and as a carbon dioxide and be releasing into the atmosphere and because and as ever contributed to global warming. It is able to trap most of them. So in a way, it is helping to control climate conditions. Yeah.
Right, Yima Akokele, isn't it? Akokele. Kekeli. All right. I don't know if you are. Don't listen, Anozan, now see, Abo Huma, and some another way, none of what I say to me. Damina some nothing. Now, you book up images into you might be ready. You call Facebook and call him. Onia Benjamin Boyhin, a chance and you may educate and papa, the mission show, papa, into Benjamin Boyhin, you must see or that was to me now, Arisha, Hin, Ankasa, the mouse on Central Press, and also to me now, or Ankasa. Past benefits, I see, Jumezo easy or Jumezo or yeah, fine, papa, now no or chef fee or yeah, Indum University. Also, between there as a message to me that by Nebia, it to me, here, so to me actually, so Ufon do, so would demos and him for Bamazara, send your message. What's like a link to the sign also about Mazana, I share as I'm dɔm nkan na wotum na wɔhwɛ hene ama yɛ nyinaa democracy kan ɔsɛ ne nyinaa mbɔmi twabere no dura na ebu ama at the end of the program no yɛ nyinaa yɛ yɛmfo so abira yɛ nua yima wotum na ɔba abɛnse ma wotum na ɔde nti yɛ kɔ akɔhwɛ the demezame ne nyinaa can we call them wetland na atere yɛba yɛaba abɔhwɛ wetland no sɛ yɛmfo so bi wɔ ho na da ɔhɔ ala nti ne so yɛtum na yɛahwɛ na yɛahwɛ dɛ sɛ yɛbɛtum yɛ hu dɛ communities and kuro wɔ wetland no wɔ do no so ɔde help you to mezeba another automotive so you make a wetland na make say I for PPAG chirho de bo pay aye adwungu funum ho a old place I call it teaching hospital in Tibet no the master so no ho no sisi aguda wo fe so na obeda ho na maso mpomusa but sisi aguda wo fe loko more than 20-50 years na assassin otum na okara odo but sisi aguda wo fe otum no the danger bis otum no tebana MC ayen kwankwohwe na yima hwe de oye the menzameni hina can we call it wetland and there accident na efi etum na yetu na mara na efi etum na yakoyi nti bia hwe ni bia waso bo mazana na efi send no message fabra na yentum na yenkankan yentum na yenfamo bia biara wo asọpẹ ni bedu wọ ọyọ abirama teresa dan no ho ọsọ dọ ọrehwẹ dama so na alhassan askido ne so ọsọ tum na ọrehwẹ no papaapa ko Facebook no na me hwẹ TV na efi ansa na personal message ko Facebook no na ko hwẹ na ya mama ze na efi tum na ya ko hire nti ya da sipa da wo so de biara tum na nya and tum na ehwẹ ọyọ Costa TV wo ọyọ ofie wo ọyọ ofo no do etena kalem ewe adwumam yen prof bebe obiara yetum na yechiawa ankasa nti MC awe na yenkwa hene na yenkwohwe wetland right ima yenhwe we yebutu na ya friend na aye wetland na ntumwa kete na aze wo hwa assassin bebi wo ha ifune bi wo ho bebi wo sa na assassin ko se no ha branch ima.
Yeah, this is a nice wetland ecosystem. Inti we know sure it is being left in the natural state. So say na it was a
okay.
Inti ubohun plants, ubohun animals, and these plants, they are special plants. They don't normally grow on the normal soils that we have. Okay. You realize that you only see them at these places. And at those places, who migratory birds, birds no more. Yeah, some can move across even continents, like yeah, they move as groups. And the here say baby this kind of wetlands in the world, the almost so they will migrate at a particular point in time of the year. Then they go there, and I think I can see some crocodiles also there. So, so the way other living organisms may interact with each other, so you see a lot of biodiversity being demonstrated there. So that is a wetland. Yeah.
Yes, Yanko, the next image, please. Then now your wetland and your casa for who you know what about this?
Yeah, the ACU and the wetland.
Okay.
ACU wetland.
Right, Yanko, your name. You know how you say?
Yes, ACU wetland. So some water lilies be proud, and so no, nani.
Okay.
And the wetland no, nipa, send me kind. Yes, your activities bit me create wetland.
Okay.
But wetland normally no, ayana. How do you call it? We are expecting to see some kind of vegetation be or that particular kind of plants be or near the idea. Everybody makes me classify the years a natural wetland I existed for long. But Nipan to be to make it. But that is a wetland. It's a wetland.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. Yeah, wetland. It's way money no. There is nowhere baby say no. Oh, yeah, failing because we see them happening in Ghana. Even Cape Coast Accra, I wouldn't want to cite examples on air, but I've seen some places that used to be water retention points as a wetland. men draw attention to, but I find say around Abra. Aside the PPA decided there was another spot like that. See, I have a economic zone, Kesepa, I have fairly put up huge structures for her. And as a result of that, this year also is PPA decide or not. It wouldn't be enough. And definitely the place will be flooded. So these are the things we need to learn from these kind of things.
Right,
yeah, all these are wetlands. All these are I won't say green, those one. It tells you, say, for the wetlands, you have a lot of nutrient retention.
Okay.
Also over there. And it's a nutrients na ever does more. Say nutrients is a wetland and store her. Now one maintaining her. Now say running into lakes and as a rivers now. It will cause something we call eutrophication. Eutrophication just there will be a lot of nutrients ever caught water bodies now. There may be so there are rivers and lakes and even the sea. And for the rivers and lakes, when eutrophication happens on them or the streams, it will cause something we call algal bloom. Algal bloom just say ebema friend is saying this kind of algae, a big grow. You see algae in a green when you see it means that other than that it's a wetland sea and we can have instances where our rivers will be covered with this kind of green patches and at least wetlands and more hard, they will be doing this nutrient retention for us.
Right. Okay. Imam na ya kwaye tu na ya ba. Imam, moving forward, able to like Ghana, do you have wetland areas in Ghana?
Your baby brave. Your baby brave. Even in Cape Coast, Accra, no.
Okay.
Your wetlands. Accra, I say in Ghana, I say there was a major one. Say it was Akumono Lagoon.
Okay. We
have Densu Delta. We have Songo Lagoon, Keta Lagoon. We have Pomazidi and Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Then wetlands, Bisu Western region. Yeah. In Kwafo, Accra, Babayeva said the whites, and now people have come to do a lot of research on our wetlands around. Yeah. So the ones near Cape Coast, we have Fosu Lagoon. So
yeah, about us.
Yeah. We have a Abra wetlands. So we have they've been noticed that they are wetlands. So the Abra wetlands, it is used for fishing and sometimes flood buffering. Okay. And issues have been reported about the Fosu Lagoon is that it faces pollution challenges from domestic and industrial waste. Then Kakum floodplains. Into Kakum, along the Kakum River, these various zones. I thought that how get flooded. How soon in our wetlands. Yeah, those places. No, we are not supposed to even encroach. We are supposed to allow them to exist there naturally. Ni na would you make this strong? Into floodplains in there. If we Ghana,
right.
Wetland.
Ibu wa Ghana damna aye yima autumna arba bi matuma ode train nti akwana pa yeba for that yetum na ye treat oye wetland and ecosystem of Ghana. Damo kwana yetum ye for do another de bia ya say.
Once okay me kakra. Sisi anam say amanu mu na ya na mpempi ye nti wetland new role play in the environment we normally want to fill those places and with an area and iron compacting in creating land and which is very bad. So in the first place, those kind of places, construction anymore I was a cost. We should allow them to exist like how they are, and we should even preserve them. Into you ask the there, see Accra. I thought I won't say go be brave, more dying. Now you built in the fence waterways in this animal. Sunny made the building shouldn't have been there in the first place. Into a moment, permits class and conforno and go sit down or one. I said, it is wrong in the first place. And I think say if they understood the work of these wetlands in the environment and give it off the land. But even if they know no more yes, I didn't cry, and there was a regulation, I know a dinner, a bay enforcer say, and yes, animal. Secondly, see a waste dumping. In Pempi, we dump waste into these wetlands. Bones wetland be like mostly we tend to dump waste into them. When we do that, properties that was a wetland no carry no, it wouldn't carry it. Into yes, say wetland nivea, it wouldn't be able to perform the role I expect to say and perform. Wetland plastics are not biodegradable. And so you don't expect to dump plastics into a wetland expecting say with time they will be degraded and access animal. Though we have biodegradable plastics, but it takes a very long period of time. And so it's my waste dumping no. And as animal and find those places. So you create dump site and as a landfill site that we create them as such, then we use them for those purposes. Then wetland projects. A bit say we can choose to make wetlands tourist attraction centers. Okay. Because wetlands, see it me share you'll be surprised by the kind of creatures and animals that we'll be having at those places. Normally, no, you don't really see them on the land like that. And if we are able to preserve those places, we'll be able to have projects like that. Then the education should be done well. If we understand that our wetlands help to purify the air that we breathe, I think people would advocate for it to be preserved. Then, normally we have to do wetlands now as an encroachment. We should be able to do some reclamation. With support from government, NGOs, and as individuals, and through the EPA, they can work on how we reclaim these kind of wetlands that we have. Then we should all advocate for sustainable developmental laws into action. Into pushy, say members of parliament. The fear more laws, and make it more strict. And I said laws are ensure say these places are preserved. Now almost share EPA, how do you call it? They should provide them with the needed power and authority to be able to exercise their control over that section. So they will be able to preserve your wetlands.
You are able to know the means that may go, you will be able to find water security. I compare with you after the yabo or the means of Manohoban. So what do you to me or you and you should leave it later.
Okay. If you say you win ensure you as fresh water no. In fact, it's a okay. Now, say you better wetlands issue here. At least we'll be able to preserve the water that we have around. In terms of say wetland, air filtration, air purification, air recharge, if it be groundwater recharge, wetlands and air recharge groundwater no. And the issue that was asking, say, soon got wetland and only filter your more human in area. Now say pushy a cop. I say horse and a bear. Yeah, able to a bulla and a sunny money man. At least there will be enough purified water in the earth to support us. Into looking at how things are going now, issues with mining and even the few fresh waters that we have now, as Aba under attacks now. I think say if we are able to stand by defending the wetlands and so on, we'll be able to go a long way to preserve our groundwater. So our water security will be safeguarded.
You are interested in sustainability management. Debian, I send you a baka. I mean, I will go there. No so good to know about it. Your sustainability. I able to know why you yaba. And then let's tackle the education and awareness very well. Because can we do more education, more awareness? Obutu no wa bo me de mezeme yetu yatas because aben in the amina we yatasi important team onyim the word wetland we won word nimpo a onyim hia then wetland no obutu an yejuma say e ba be sha so wo ye basics a ama impo no be pahinin she or he understand the wetland and the kasasa nso wo da kona be for the yetu ya agba ho bana obutu abe. Let's start about the education awareness. How can you do more things?
Okay, so I think that education area to go a long way to help. The best thing that can be done is that we should incorporate studies on these wetlands, even from the primary level, getting to the junior high school, to the senior high school, even before the tertiary. So already he or she appreciates the importance of the wetland ecosystem. Until when he said these are places that are supposed to be preserved. And he say and see any other activity. And to say be a syllabus on one sense and incorporate sessions that will talk about these wetland ecosystems. Now, ama home church and home education I am more in Quebec. Also, I asked almost for field trips and excursions and they should also chance on these wetland ecosystems as also possible options for these excursions. Now, omonya home in church be breda emma almost people will get to appreciate and understand because the wetland ecosystem is like nature support life support system. Say a shady year pa near etimi ye emma environment into community be a wetland woman biana. It is like the recycling point of that particular community into a home in church there was a year.
What about the sustainability management?
Okay, sustainability. You can't say being sustainable. It's just at the chrono, or say idea a bit to me standing the test of time, like a bit to me elastic. Now, send yes, I in church concerning how wetland and home here. Na yebe bohum ban you know. Say you put in measures the measures that we put in say they preserve these wetlands no. It has to be sustainable. So because it has to be sustainable, it should be something you bet me for long. It will all bow down to the education. And they say your community, your opinion leaders no, bet me the omonesi or more teacher or because you transase and it's and the lands commission that almost the omobejima. Ebema Ebema Kofonia permits to be able to do this kind of or have this kind of acquisitions for this kind of lands, so better. Once it becomes a permanent law, that will say go against like Ubenya who are such I think in that way we'll be able to sustain it. It should be something that will be enshrined in our constitution so that it governs us as a nation.
You might able to use the means that may come has some wetland, no, naturally the Kujuma. Na ya sure in local communities in Boma soon talk but we have wetland in our communities but you don't know the benefit of it. Yeah. Can we educate the farmers to use this wetland area for farming?
These wetlands we have the resources but it's like we don't know what to use them for. Even these wetlands now already know they are enriched with nutrients that soils now around most of the wetlands now, so the nutrients they will very high. And see you bet me the wetlands we can do fishing at these places as well. We can also do agricultural activities. Everyone say we have this kind of vegetable farming and it's animal. We can use these waters for irrigation. It's animal. The farming practices are no but we have to go with regulations. So some people didn't know how to manage the whole thing or even if you would want to farm at those places, you have to do it in a sustainable manner. Many say no, it shouldn't be like that. In the Chinese way, no cultivated rice in the now. They need this wetland. These wetlands that they use in the cultivation of rice and all those things. But because of say their resources in in terms of their natural resources, they have to do massive irrigation projects for these things. But here we have the wetlands. The friend say, we have a lot of wetlands. BDA rice farming near there. We can really tap into it and make massive use of them.
People don't know it, and like for example, I had the Rosma because I and payable boys in or I don't know I saw so don't fear. I mean I'm part of the community. I know what is going on.
Okay, remember clear.
PPAG road towards teaching hospital. The mom way na it me who they build me BCCs when I had me. But as we are talking now, yeah, because it's washers will fail. Naturally, it's our community leaders. I want to turn assassin, my other than problem here. And I you are near you home. Oh, Monkey than also.
And Tiasiada anyhow. So, if you are home, to say, as I said, okay. Almost said them who you made the Eddie. And see, if I say, as I said, you bet me, I am what you money upon. Aha, Sunday, but. The reality is those places no, it's supposed to be a no-go area. These are like natural water storage points and also water retention points for the community. Into us, and one is those places. You don't even see them anywhere in the community except those places. It means that is their natural home. Once you destroy those places, it means that you destroy their habitat. They have to move to a different place that have that kind of name and to say minimum area how they are, then they will migrate and go. They will go and they will never come back because they don't have anything to depend on at your end. Now, right now that we don't really see their benefits. If we end up filling those places for construction projects near there, next thing so start to set to we ankasa yebehu what will happen. You realize that at first, retention and water retention and all those wetlands in 80 million. Since you are fairly hot, there is nothing to do the retention. It will rather move into the community and it will end up flooding the places or the nearby places around. Those things, Mr. Senator Kind first, there was a legislation concerning those things, very strict. Now, say, the government, they never to those kind of lands as wetlands reserved for the state and Kebebwa. And yes, when we leave it like that, people will still be encroaching. This is our kind of. This is the first one happened. Names that people were silent on it. So first one I make one say on the stretch, Abra stretch. And see, once the water retention point was cleared, and right now better than an economic harbor, Omudi Jumedi or since you pressure about better PPA side. The pressure about better PPA side now. Since you almost have a fairly another aspect of it, it means that we are just creating a bigger problem for ourselves. Until we have to take a critical look at that. They have to have a critical look at that situation. Now, they should do the needful immediately.
Young share na inkibisa the master. You have key agencies or Ghana. Now we have Ministry of Environmental Science and Technology Innovations. We have Environmental Protection Agency, Ghana. Now, yes. We have Forestry Commission of Ghana. We have Wildlife Division of the Forest Commission, and we have Ministry of Land and Natural Resources. You man go feel me when who name as an pie how Ghana how. The habit you good I said the measurement. Embra no mun yazin and found home and I don't myself. Say I was shown for the baby you in Subiana yeast then I will have a penny be pa. Otukara, Cassie Basson was in the chip. And then I see all said the measurement. Embra ye man in tea. And it's an eye by the
man. Frankly speaking, what I was saying is that Embrano Yanyan is such that it is a no-go area. Yanyan is a government assess here. And I say a government property, and then they are professor in say meaning never. Yan boy and body and pa and you say be a buying and finance and to those kind of lands in us. And I say about what for being some and I say for a bushing being some and others and a man there. And then we will be able to do least or little about it because we'll be better my approach. It be an influence and an seeker and a son you know. By Miss Remeka, side you may be in Ankasankasana. As I said, wow, winning say that's a land that is supposed to be a wetland or person or any form of economic or construction project, you should know it is wrong. It is against the environment and it's even against the state. Inti uye bibisa no, oh yeah, they are all the bedroom one cause our benefit, but what you are doing to the environment, what your activity is not being sustainable. It's not something that we can sustain. When we choose to neglect the natural environment, now you say what is already existing. It means that in some of these things are if you talk of if there used to be a wetland here in Cape Coast, studies if you talk of those things and we should be very careful in the sense that say any influence ever purchase those kind of resources I thought that as a flood in this animal, it ends up affecting people, and if you are not careful, it also affects people that are related to it. In they should desist from selling those kind of lands. Now, the only thing, me said the basic thing, a bit in Yama, Saniman, so better, I say, abandoned forest reserves, government and Eden Satos, but no crown, still, we still haven't grown, but it's far better as compared to the wetlands that we have around. I think so the advocacy on the wetlands, our form currency, or say EPA, making more a strong case for this, and be a wetlands, a buying bit in and Sato, so I any construction. So,
you sure in the enemy, I'm talking about the agencies.
Yes.
Terry said, "Hey, Ghana, blah, blah, the one or whole." But still now, in the medicine, that shows there as an or cartado, it is on paper, but in terms of implementation, and you find it was you can EPS and EPA the dada, EPA the dada, Forest Commission the dada, wildlife the dada, land and natural whatever, everything is there already, or what the dada. But still now we are destroying our wetland. That shows that the leadership now the doesn't understand. One thousand I say another on phone, another Ghana as I said, they be able to miss it. Why? Was my in thousand.
Oh, and Kaka, and Tiasene, dear, a honey, dear, Yentivicasi and Tiasia, the vacancy any or money adrian, and any almost any adrian soda, if we really want to conserve the environment. The main thing that is happening right now, I wouldn't say, or the ability I can't find this issue per se, and it's these lands that we are talking about, we have agencies, but they're and as a bibisano. I think, sir, the government should begin to set targets for the agencies. Now, targets in the be defining, maybe a leaders almost stay in office. Say, here, anka ebeboa. Ne say from this time to this is a sustainable development goals. Your best set goals, I might say SDG developmental goals, way. By between this year, this time to this time, we should be able to eradicate this. We should be able to eradicate this. See, here is any best set those targets, and I'm my own. That targets in a bed defining leaders' normal performance near the other. I think it also put them on their toes. And also, I was here one day recently did that Ghana for a year for Galamsey home, and they send your essay environment. Wow, crazy so count in a count here home they did near the other. I think it is really helping. Right now, as we speak, people will be anywhere by more bit man can say we need the effect of galamsey on the environment. Say you deny a bomb the road, nay, can't once and coba say be a meti penny by Papa Betanam and China. Then some was a mechanic as a mere politician and person. No, can't assemble just like how it is supposed to be. Now, and Kababwa. And also, schools now, be introducing these kind of courses to know. And Kolano, so when they get to know about these things, I remember during my first degree, I was the research director for Campus Disaster Management Club. I said, NADMO, a core network campus. Now, over there, we try to do education about disaster management and all this. I think if we are to form this kind of club for the EPA as well as maybe Environmental Protection Club, and this animal branches or schools no more they are mobile and church about these things. Remember advocacy concerning these kind of things a bit easier. Now it's me I think that the way forward, they can consider this kind of options to also help create awareness.
Yeah, you must have already to me a bomb was in the fee, yet to me entity automoyema, and my Nazama at Tumnatum Pona cream. Yes, share all your wetland, they are both human being. We are in the community. Wetland is Abutum Wayama, say the agriculture need to me this in China. Or said the Mumboy in Asia was see or yesterday. And can school, it would be a bit dua, or Genoa, then assassin a kake wajum, a compa, the automatic, and way with two of him. You didn't go to Angiao, but Anapa, you go and meet them there. I would move. The means a man in sister, you show you to me. There has a beauty. Yoko Facebook BM Philip Quincy Otabo, Butchie, also fantastic, Ima. Or show him if you or yet Gomoa a shame. Philip, you mentioned Papa, there was to me into one sack a link in a Bamazana said, from Moyanko so on to me not on Chevy. The Philip Gomoa shame, the badass Papa, nephew to me or his name, Papa. You might demand a mouse of man good on him. You show wetland, now I can say impact via you to me. Why cardboard outside or they to import to more home from out to Moduconium. Tamizam many high good you to me says a PPAG in a non crowd the banano abra that's kept question not near where the maybe was. He said, what to know what say no or but to a fatty be or a human being. I had to community or what to a fatty boy Hilodana. Ima.
Okay. Sene make can kind wetland one. You first spoke about other advantages from the wetland aside the agricultural benefits. Now, wetland, the basic thing they do for us is say, you can say you are a warrior ground, my friend, groundwater, maybe a two as a bull, and we are depending on. At these wetlands, most of them are purified. Before saying, you be free as a so I call most of it is collected at these wetlands. Now I go undergo filtering. Into the wetlands will serve as filter that will filter these waters before they get to the aquifer. And I said the water table depending on for consumption. Secondly, a purifier and from home. We need a lot of oxygen in the environment. And you bet me. Coexist as humans are really okay. Into these wetlands, the more they make use of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, they release oxygen for us. Fresh. I think last year they did a research where they classified Accra as one of the most polluted cities in Africa just because of the quality of air that place. One, it can be associated to the extent of infrastructure developments, the cost of encroachments, and maybe the release of these industrial effluents from companies near the cost of. It means that once you have activities that will cause the release of more carbon dioxide into the atmosphere, your air becomes polluted. Once you have a lot of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, Massa can say it contributes to global warming. The heat is so around. Into a simple analogy, to be a desert. Once a desert, plants be anymore. Yeah. So it is telling us that those places, the living organisms that are supposed to make use of the carbon dioxide to produce oxygen, and I say being of cry. So once there is nothing to make use of the carbon dioxide, it means that all the heat that comes from the sun, the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, they will still trap the heat to be there until the wetlands were around that. We shouldn't just see them as just a space be that why and I say breeding grounds be and no. It goes a long way to purify our waters for us as well. Have a critical look at that. And okay, and finally, there were some specific kinds of plants that are medicinal, and some of these plants too, we can only find them at these kind of wetlands. And once we do things, clear off. It means that having access to those kind of plants will also become a challenge. Yeah.
Ima can human as community create wetland for the community for the benefit of the community? Ayangasa iya yimpe to community see. Ebotu ye create or here wetland. Motumo aboa metumi ye hinujuma. Amechire bi ahoche bi ba na ye pede yinyam foso bi wo dem wetland na ye hin wetumi do bi a etum na aboa. You are back to your department as well as your school. What are you doing? Abazina on warrior. My also to more provide another wabo or your wetland urban. See being you are my family watch out as no with the whole for them to first you share the human being in communities. You put me say creating wetland or to know about in.
Okay. Now wetlands no yeah, nipa you bet me creativity. Okay. You bet me a creativity. Now but normally when you create a wetland, you may not be able to have it to mimic the natural one. But you can choose to create some, even more rice farmers near there. Almost to me channel it, you show them an tie, baby like that, or bet me use as a more as a wetland, or how bet me use to be for irrigation, sunny money. Now, so basically, that is what I'll be able to say about the wetland. Say, Yanka say, creative. But once I did, you won't send it in the natural state. So, the best thing will be, say, they are naturally, let us leave them untouched. I am fine, because we still have wetlands around that. Still encroachment. Send a site example back where Yanka before our eyes. These are places that we are supposed to preserve. Anyway, a friend say, issues, ember. That will be it for that aspect. We can create some. But just that it wouldn't be able to mimic the natural wetland very well. Yeah.
Right. CCTU. I don't know where for the boy, Madam. Right.
Yeah. CCTU, I may several two departments. Department of Civil Engineering, Engineer Dr. Dean Halise Bilila. Then the second department is Environmental Management and Technology Department. Engineer Bibi, and I may HOD on that side. Now, about Environmental Management and Technology specifically, there is a course on wetland ecosystem specifically. There's a course on wetland ecosystem. You track about the essence of these wetlands, how to identify wetlands, places where wetlands are located, and the role of wetlands in the environment. Into opportunity, if we have students from those departments entering EP and this and they know say these wetlands they are supposed to be preserved. More jumedius from more the boa community, and that's how we the boa environment in basically about the wetland ecosystem. We do teachings on it. Yeah.
And so if your students are off the road to go in second school, what now over here department, what now when you are doing another if your student are what when you another population also another what for environmental issues in student also.
Okay, students there, I'll advocate for more like. Your best parents and students need to be brave. I bet you on these kind of things, Now, moreover, as part of the training process, say our students call for industrial attachments. Yeah. So the department can liaise with some of these agencies. At least they do internship times. You bet me release the students, Normal call these kind of agencies. Normal call at least. Field studies and practical studies more about the environmental management and technology, or coming to the Department of Civil Engineering. Civil engineering, and we have environmental quality engineering aspects, but the course I handle environmental management specifically, any own technology, and also a department or environmental management technology. Currently, your e-voucher for your forms on out. Students are more percent or more apply, they can apply. They can get these vouchers from any of the banks around the post office, GT Bank, Zenith Bank, normal fairly, normal provided the necessary information, and we will also enroll them. So it will be nice to have you all on board. I will share many. I will share me and I say, obey an environmental advocate, and also obey environmental forensic analyst. You can choose to come and study with us now. We'll do our possible best to assist you the best way that we can, so that at least you'll be able to become a responsible and environmentalist in the near future. Thank you.
Your last message, and 1 minute left.
All right. And then I did if a wetland ecosystem. Now, me did this and there. Almost every na abenyanti say you can't say wetland as a wetland na it begins to start a communities and yet say asase any juma and I say any jumedi and I say so na town ha environment in it was say ebi e dey anu ya be failing and I say bibisa was say baby anka ye nipa no kra no ye ni sanka yesisi adan ekọ ho ana say ye ben no na nke jai na almost serve almost row yati ase so mo boa ma ye mframam okay yati ase so mo boa e ma ensure ejina asase nim so no omo prefer na ma yati ase say and ho so na ensure e wa asase mi no say so ti a na ensure to a ho na ensure no efa ese akọ asase nim be yati ase say ebetimi aboa wo ekwiaye mu yasan so ati ase say ebetimi kra aye recreational center and as a tourist attraction center kra na ye hwe so yie ma ne timi begina ebetimi ama anya baby ankofo beba efrechicho mbetu eska so mba behwe moa na as a landscape e wo ne sa ne ma no enti empanifo a omohwe oman so yemra chebedwa for ne omo ka bia edimu oman no ye bese say emra ye behye bema environmental protection agencies no omo nsam betima yedin ombenya tumi omo hia a ombetimi esi saa encroachment in na no kwan no e wo say ye boy ho mbodi na yetimi eye enti I will use this opportunity to make a personal appeal to a good friend of mine, Honorable Kwame na Mintanyanko. Honorable, we there also obrashe be the fear enti this one will be like we are putting it to you. Say okwa betimi I make a contribution, I make input into ensuring that these laws, you know, say you can enacted at the enforcement of the laws, you know, you bema imwaya de na preserve the environment. Inti medagana for the nasi.
Right, I say better TV mass no apare no by no boy member be not no awkward. I also to me try him. No see uncle prince shop papa. Maybe I send a message you say the nasi. Na to me send a message to me ba. E me shop papa. Be be to me try him ya be do as papa. Team and family won ye adwuma. Your Francis Arnold camera to do the mouse na Bellis Ampoma Junior Michael. You say better on as papa. Na Professor Kwame Nabanfo Prof and the place you to me show and sanction company shop. On a model his car or imam to me now or young come better not see emphasize say. The mouse in a CCT at the church in a night self here to me show. In can all in a visit. The minister of papa that looks to the bureau to much and quick. Uncle say, me you will finish ya or send there. And then there was also that bassa for I the carpo, so I the quote, so I the other joke, did don't go to bassa so yeah. The papa or the bassa one. Now yeah, did campus lake on kaji on fire guy. Well, you know, I can quote will be without that you did the man. But they are not wishing to man and area halfway. All about I have qualities. Nephew to now, I banner about the same to natural and make him out crazy. Now, yeah, should I Ghana blast that is a good day about another or the wagon and another. Maybe be answer to me now, I'll crave. Into quality, the last spot about the nephew to my rabbi saying. Into also what na focus on meaning for na emwa maybe also onto na on we pay the mouse na aya pastor pastor you must reach out na Reverend Dr. Patrick Kwampa of Global Evangelical Church, Bonkus branch. You know, shop papa, I shop papa, they have bumpy at the one man, so you know, to know awkward. Major Omar bin Abdullah. I have 2 far and before the better hate you. Mario and I'm going to share money to Major Sonny Mahima. Bye bye.